So, I want to welcome you all to 523. Obviously, my name is Andre, and sir, to give you a copy, do you have one?
No, thank you.
Great. My name is Andre Cohen, and I'm excited to be your instructor for this class. And we're a good-sized class, and I'm not sure why the air's not on, but I don't know if anybody else is hot.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
to turn that fan on.
Yeah, well, at some point I'll grab the fan and we can turn that on and increase our comfort a little bit. So I'll tell you a little bit about me and why I want to and choose to teach the class. And then I'd like for each of us to go around and say one thing.
Are you recording?
I am. I'm recording my lecture. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
How do you're so observant? How did you see that?
Well, I was
didn't
like,
even
what's
notice.
that?
That's
I
what
just
I
noticed
was
the
wondering.
phone and it's like,
Yeah. So one of the things, and I don't know, so this is how I work, that every time I open my mouth, particularly when I'm running a group, there is always something brilliant that comes out. And oftentimes I don't remember what that brilliance was until after the fact. So most often I record my lectures, and oftentimes students say, can I have a copy of that, and I can make that available to you. But so that's one of my practices. So by the end of class, you'll probably know more about me personally than you probably ever wanted to know about anybody specifically. But I think that the way that our world is operating. Hello, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
I'm good. And what is your name?
My name is Tyler.
Tyler. All
I
right.
just added to class.
They just added you to the class. That's great, Tyler.
He said there's gonna be 20 more people sitting on the outskirts of the special.
That'll be the fishbowl, folks.
Yeah.
Tyler, if you make sure you grab one of each of these.
All right, thank you.
Great. So, I grew up, like many of you, in a context, right? So we operate in a world that we did not create. We were handed a mess, a nest of a mess. And I have taken the challenge to try to do something about that so that it's less messy for my 12-month-old little daughter. Right? And so as we come at these issues of talking about multiculturalism and multicultural counseling, I want you to know that that's the place that I'm coming from, right? So my job is to make the world a better place for her and for all of those who are coming up the same time that she is. And so we'll spend some time talking about the particulars of how that happens. But ultimately, this is not about me, it's not about you, but it's about the world that we want to leave behind. And how do we help people deal with the insanity that we have to deal with? For example, the bombing and burning of churches, right? That's something that I saw on a documentary when I was in middle school. That was something that was happening in the past, as opposed to something that's happening right now, right? The riots and the uprisings, the sit-ins and the people laying in the streets, and those were kinds of things that I saw in my middle school history classes, and those black and white videos that had the flickery kind of thing, and one of the kids, many of you aren't old enough to remember the double wheel projector, right? And you had to go in and cut it, and so those are the kinds of things that we saw. So as an adult, those were things that I remembered as history. And I'm very disappointed and saddened and surprised that it is our current reality as well. The fact that we're having conversations about taking down the Confederate flag. Really? 2015? And we're still having that conversation? Who fell asleep Shouldn't we have taken care of that back in 65 and, you know, and just annihilated that? Why are we having to deal with that now? But here's the bigger problem. Although the flag may be taken down off the building, hasn't been taken down out of people's hearts, right? So the world that we live in has some really interesting challenges. The things that people are saying about ISIS, right? Oh, scary, the Islamic, you know, blah, blah, blah. But if we look back at what the Christians did to Native Americans, I can't see many differences between those historical perspectives and what's currently happening today. I will say that it is very interesting that in many, and I have to find exactly which community it is, but Islamic mosques are donating millions of dollars to these black churches to rebuild. But ISIS is our threat, right? So I want us to be critical thinkers and not just talk about race, and not just talk about gender, but look at all of these pieces as a part of an overall system that people are trying to deal with, and oftentimes don't have the skills and the ability. And so we'll do that. I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. I want you to look at your own stuff. I want you to look at how you can help other people with their stuff. And then I want you to figure out how do we get rid of some stuff, right? So those would be the kinds of 3 things that we'll talk about. So now that you have my deep introduction, what I'd like for you to do is we can go around the room and say one thing that, say our name, our program, and one thing that might surprise other people to know about us. So you can start however you want to start, but your name, your program, and what's one thing that might surprise, people might be surprised to know about it.
I can start.
All right.
My name is Scott, last name Levo. I grew up in Edina. I was telling Andre that though I grew up kind of in the privileged lifestyle, I don't have a lot of exposure to oppression and discrimination other than what I see on CNN and news, and so it'll be challenging for me to submerge myself and really just get, kind of get more knowledgeable on issues that are going on currently. I am a twin, but we're fraternal, and I work at Cigna, which is a big insurance company, and I take calls helping people with preventative health care programs to get them in shape or work on their chronic conditions, or send triage calls for behavioral issues, whether it's crisis or just getting them to list to psychiatrists or counselors. And I wanted to get into counseling just because I always felt very intrigued by the dynamics of people, what brings people together and pulls them apart, as well as just having that empathetic passion for just wanting to reach out to people when I felt like they were in a time of need. And I didn't feel like it was work at all. I thought it was more enjoyable. Did you ask any other questions?
No, you gave us way more
Okay.
than what we asked.
Then we're gonna go to the right, so
No,
it's Lindsay's turn.
However folks want to go.
I can go. My name is Lindsay. I'm part of the LPCC track. Not sure. As far as a surprising topic, I would say, like my populations that I'm kind of like driving towards are like the LGBT community or even military. I feel like they're polar opposite, but kind of have a soft spot for both of them. So.
My name's Tyler. I'm in marriage and family therapy, and I was in the Marines, and I actually lived under a bridge for an overpass for 7 months in Iraq. Wow. So it was actually pretty cool. So you didn't have to shave as much, under the bridge. Not too many officers coming up underneath there. So and I'm a father of 2. And I've been married for 4 years. So.
Can I ask you just a question? Last saw you in my orientation, and then I never saw you again. Have you been going to school here?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like every other section I've messed up with it's like, what? Registration, what? The first day of classes is this week, and I've done it to myself almost. I think I've done it the 3 times that I've taken a class. I've actually switched classes because I didn't realize that my other class already started on Monday, and I found it out Wednesday, and I was like, can I drop a class and take this class? And they're like, yeah, sure. And so that's why I'm here.
Well, you have this like really deep, cool introduction where you're like, you know, I've seen loss of life, and I've seen this in military, you know, PTSD, and I'm like, this
Scott, thank you for telling his story, Scott.
I love it, I love it.
You know, and like,
I love
and
that you remember.
this guy is gonna
That's
be
good.
like the most amazing help, you know, like counselor to all
Oh,
these
thank you.
war veterans or whatever. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, we were talking. She thought you were someone else because there's another person that was in her class. No, that was the war guy. He hasn't been in school for
Yeah, I've been.
so, and you were really sick too. I think you came even though you were.
Yes, I was super
You were
sick
like-
too.
Okay, but
I had
so
food
I thought he
poisoning.
passed away.
You got such a good memory, you're gonna do a great job in this field.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I don't mind, I'm
And
pretty
you were
transparent.
late too to the orientation.
Yes, I
You're
was.
like,
Yes.
this is-
It's my life.
So I thought he either passed away or he just totally threw in the towel.
No,
All right.
I'm revived.
Okay, alright.
All right.
We're
Thanks,
happy
Tyler.
you're here.
Yeah, no problem.
Tyler, what's your last name?
Byers,
Byers.
B-Y-E-R-S.
All right.
And thank you, Scott, for helping.
You know, sometimes I feel a little closed off, so it was kinda nice that he just kinda gave the synopsis, like, there you go.
I
It's
did
in a
just
nutshell.
racking my brain like, what
Yeah.
happened to that guy?
I'm Thomas Vittoria. V as in Victor, Ittoria. Scott can tell you how I look different from how I used to at the beginning of the year. I am a marriage and family therapy track. I've worked with kids on and off for the past 25 years in about every capacity, areas, kids with severe autism, kids in a level 5 setting with the emotional behavioral disorders and the history of pattern aggression, and then just take care. I lived in my Volkswagen bus for 6 months.
All right,
So
we could have sleepovers.
But the interesting fact, the fact that I think that ties into this is that my wife grew up in Cabrini Green in Chicago. If anybody knows Cabrini Green, you can just assume she's African American. She is. I was talking to a guy who and I told him that he thought she was white, and he was freaked out by this. Cabrini Green is one of the roughest projects in Chicago. But she survived and she made it out.
Can I ask you, sorry, I won't do this anymore. But were the kids that you're working with, were they violent? I mean, like, were you having to do like hold downs and stuff like that?
I was the behavior specialist, so I was in charge. All restraint.
Yeah,
I
okay.
was really good at it.
Where were you, Thomas?
I was at a place called Westminster Elliott in St. Louis Park in a program called Protein, which was a collaborative organization with Family Networks, did therapy, Hennepin County, University of Minnesota Day Community did experiential ed,
Okay.
and then District 287.
Yeah, they don't let you defend yourself. I mean, you have to, like, if you touch the kids, they will sue you. So basically, you know, you just have to like, let them punch you and then figure out a way to hold them down.
We were very well trained in restraint techniques, 2, 3 verses. Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas.
My name is Lindsay Fritz. I'm in the Marriage and Family Therapy program here. Interesting fact. I actually went to school for law enforcement originally, worked security, and was a dispatcher. So that's kind of a little bit of my background coming into this program and into this class. One of my favorite activities I've ever done is have gone skydiving. It's awesome.
Did your parachute work?
It obviously did. I am here. In one piece.
It's gonna be a long class.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Lindsay.
My name's Joan, and I can see the light at the end of two and a half years years of school, in my final descent, I guess. I'm specializing in co-occurring disorders in LPCC. Major was corrections, law enforcement, undergrad, licensed social worker. I've done it all. I think the only thing I haven't done is probation. But worked in a prison for men, worked in a level 5 school years ago, Harrison Secondary over north, and worked in domestic violence and so forth. And I have a well-rounded, I believe, sense of just everything, you know. One fact about me is I ride a Harley, and you will see it out front sometime when I come to class, and I have traveled the US on on different motorcycles since I was 15. So I love it, and it's great, and maybe I'll be a therapist who rides, I don't know, biker therapist or something, I don't know. Who knows, but anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up and graduate, but glad to be here.
Good, thank you. Glad
Yeah.
you're here.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm on the school counseling track, and I have a background working with kids. I love to help kids, I have a passion for them. I've been a nanny for numerous years, and something about me is some of my best friends growing up were Somalians in my hometown, and they're my friends, still friends today. So that's the experience I have with diversity, and I don't know much. I learned a lot about their culture because they were new to my community when I was growing up, so that was kind of fun.
What community was that?
Wilbur.
Woman, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of an interesting fact about me, and I'm the tallest person in my dad's family. So I'm really proud
Wow.
of that.
You're like 5 foot?
Yeah.
That's wonderful, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm Lana. I've been at Atla way too long. I'm not a Minnesotan and I'm not happy about it, about being here. And I'm pretty bitter right now in the moment, so I owe you another introduction next week.
Cool, come on.
I'm Sarah also, and I'm on the school counseling track. I'm a preschool teacher. I teach 4- and 5-year-olds. I've been doing that for a few years now. I guess an interesting fact is I'm Jewish and my birthday's on Christmas. Kind of ironic, I guess. And so I don't have like much experience in this field besides that I've dealt with a lot of anti-Semitism in my life, and I think that I think that religion is also involved in this type of stuff from what I understand, and I think it's a very important aspect to remember and to discuss. So that's me. And you'll probably hear me make lots of comments about it because I think I'm very passionate about that aspect of my life, and a big supporter for that too. So I'm trying to like help with that, I think. Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for sharing.
Pam.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pam.
I forgot.
I already checked you off my list.
I'm Pam Reed, is the last name. I'm on the LPCC track too, so I was at St. Thomas for a year and just switched over, I guess, winter term of this year. Completely different field. I worked in the medical device diagnostics industry for about 20 years. I quit my job completely last August to be at home with my son who was 3. He just turned 3, and I still do some consulting in that area for income purposes. And then just decided, I had been thinking about counseling literally since college. I mean, I did molecular biology undergrad and cellular physiology master's degree at the University of Minnesota. Yeah, so it's like I have not been doing what I really feel like I wanted to be doing for quite a while. So anyway, so now I feel like I'm actually at a point in my life where it's the right time. So What else did you, I can't remember.
No, that's it, just
Okay.
your program is something interesting or surprising that someone may not necessarily know about.
Yeah.
Cool. So there were a number of themes that I heard people say, and I also, so not only do I listen to words, I kind of watch body language, and I also kind of pay attention to trying to hear the emotions behind people's words sometimes, right? And I don't know if other folks do that, or if you know, that's a level of intuition or whatnot that you know, or empathy that you've had. But one of the things that I've heard in a number of people's kind of introduction was this idea or a feeling of inadequacy in dealing with multicultural issues. Did anyone else hear that as people were kind of introducing themselves? That there's a sense that people have some kind of inadequacy, or that the experiences that they have aren't enough to prepare them for, you know, the challenges ahead. So I see a number of people nodding with that. So I want to set aside some fears for you, and one of those fears being that you're inadequate, right? So that's a fear that people have of being inadequate. For example, people don't like to be naked. Right? I mean, there's very few of us who like standing in front of the mirror just without anything on and just standing there, and you know, so people don't like to be naked. They certainly don't like to be naked when they go out in public. Again, there's a small select folks who can fit in those bikinis and who can fit in those, you know, those things, and everything is perfect about their body, which is why they're showing it off. But for the most part, none of us likes to be naked. Why? Because we feel that nakedness demonstrates or shows our inadequacies, right? So we constantly try to dress ourselves in whatever things so that we can cover up our inadequacies. I want to set those aside by declaring to you that you don't have to fear your inadequacies, because you are inadequate.
Amen.
You are, right? So one of the things when we start talking about multicultural issues is that people say, well, I don't know, I didn't, I haven't, you won't. You won't. You will always be inadequate, and so will everybody else around you. That is what we call being human, right? So there's only so many experiences that we can have in a lifetime, right? But fortunately, Lindsay has opportunity to skydive, right? All of us may not necessarily get that opportunity, and that may not be in our bucket list, right, Jill?
Yeah.
Right? And guess what? It's okay. If I never skydive, I will be just fine. I will have a totally complete and fulfilled life if I never skydive, right? You know, so we have to get those things out of the way, because that's the stuff that allows us to keep living in our own little fictions and saying, I can't help, I can't be an advocate, I can't be a helper because my hands are too small and my arms are too, what's that song out, you know, I want to hold the world, but I only got 2 hands. On the thing of the world, but I haven't got a plan. You know what I'm talking about. What's the name of that song? Oh, come on!
Beachy sings it, I know that.
Who sings it?
Beachy.
Beachy.
I'll Google it.
I'm surprised you don't have it on Shazam. Like,
Yeah.
But he talks about, you know, he wants to travel the world, but he doesn't have any plans. He wants to hold the world, but his hands are too. So this is one of the things that I asked God. I said, Mr. Creator, help me out, because I feel like I've been put on this earth to be helpful. But why is it that the problems that I'm trying to help seems so big, right? And Mr. Creator said to me, he said, because he said, I made your hands small and your arms short, so you don't think you can do this by yourself.
It's like the Muppet thing on Sesame Street.
Please, tell me.
There's fruit up in a tall tree, and the little monster.
I've seen
Have you seen
How does
this?
it
Yeah.
go? What is the thing? The tall monster has long arms but no elbows.
Mm-hmm.
So it can pick the fruit, but it can't get the fruit to its mouth.
Yeah.
So it hands the fruit to the small monster, who has arms that bend, so it can feed the two of them. So together they figure out the problem.
Right. Yeah. So together, so my arms are too short, my hands are too small because I'm not supposed to do this by myself. And so, because if I solved it, who becomes the one that is great? Me. Right? What happens in a movement when we have the one person who is the great person?
Hitler.
We can have Hitler, we can also have what?
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King. And what do we do to both of them?
Kill him.
We kill them if we want to kill a movement, right? And so one of the things that we have to recognize is that, yes, we are inadequate for the challenges that face us. However, what do we have as a tool to overcome our inadequacy?
Compassion.
Each other. And if we're compassionate to each other, that's wonderful, right? But I don't have to do it all because I have you. It's when I don't think that I have you that I get concerned, right? So I'll just get this off my chest because, while I'm on the soapbox. So I went to World Market. Has anyone been to those stores, right?
Yeah.
Cool stores, love it, cool stores. So my daughter is 1 year old, and I am determined to make her musical. I'm determined to do that. Right? So every time I get a chance, I buy, a whistle, a bell, a drum, or whatever. So at the World Market, they have like world gifts and all sorts of stuff. And so I'm looking at these. My wife's gonna hate me, but I'm looking at these. What's is an accordion that has the piano keys on one side, right? And they just make a lot of noise. And she's one, right? So so I'm looking at these things. I want to get those, and there's these other sections. And then I look out the corner of my eye, and there's a woman that works at the store. And I'm like, why am I noticing this as I'm looking at this stuff? So I go down a little bit down the aisle a little further, and I'm dressed just like this, right? So, sweater, cardigan, I have my little hat on to the side, look reasonably articulate, pants, right, in the zone.
All the way
pants
up.
all the way up in the zone, right? I have shoes that have a little bit of shine to them, not sneakers or anything, and no do-rags or anything, right? So I'm looking, and I'm walking down the aisle, and I notice that the same woman is still in my purview. And I'm like, no. This is just, I'm being paranoid. I'm being overly sensitive, right? So I did the test. And the test is 2 lefts and a right, right? So I go down the aisle, make a left, still there. Make another left, still there. Make a right, still there. This is a freaking furniture store. What am I going to steal in a furniture store? And one of the things that hit me, and I posted this on Facebook. I'm relatively articulate. I'm pretty well adjusted to American society, seeing how I was born here, So I'm pretty well adjusted. And in that moment, I was so enraged that I wanted to steal something. And I'm like, what's wrong with it? Why? I'm well adjusted. I got enough money to buy most of the things that I want in the store anyway. But because of that, her particular actions, I felt provoked to act out in an antisocial way. And so I had to start thinking about what that meant for me, but what does that also mean for people who aren't as well-adjusted, who aren't as articulate as I am, and would choose to act out in an antisocial way. And then I started trying to tease out what that meant. So what was my trigger? What was upsetting me? Because I obviously cannot control her behavior, and I'm not responsible for her behavior, but I am responsible for my own. And so I started thinking about that. And one of the things that came up for me was I felt that she and her behavior was trying to take away a piece of my humanity. That I wasn't a human just like everybody else that was in the store, but there was something uniquely different about me that needed to be monitored, where the other humans didn't need this kind of monitoring. And so then I had to check myself, and I had to come to the point to say that although I was feeling those feelings that she was trying to give me, or the impressions that I got from her behavior, had nothing to do with me. So however she interacted with the world had nothing to do with me, but because of the consistency of these types of behaviors, I had internalized some of her stuff until I was able to back out and say, that doesn't belong to me. Right? So one of the things that when we talk about this idea of multicultural counseling is that we're going to have to give people the tools so that they can work out their own stuff. Which means what?
We have to figure out our own.
We have to figure out our own stuff, right? We got to figure out what our buttons are, what our triggers are, what our blind spots are, which means that we'll have to be very introspective. So a lot of the stuff, so we'll look at theories and whatnot in the book, but they won't be any good until we figure out how to apply those in our lives, in our everyday lives. So this is not a glorified sensitivity training or cultural training, although we will do some of those things, but it really is about how do we get this cultural competence to our clients. And from my perspective, guess who my clients are? Who do you think my clients might be? As a teacher here at Alfred Adler Graduate School, who are my customers?
Us.
Would you agree with that? Us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Graduate
Okay.
students, yeah.
Wrong.
Yep.
Your clients are my customers. If you're not effective with your clients, then none of this stuff even matters. Adler doesn't even matter. If the ideas and the psychology that we have doesn't change people's lives, I care about you, but I care more about the people you serve. And if I'm not giving you the tools to serve those people appropriately, then all of this is for nothing. Right? So I want you to consistently think about the people that you're going to be serving. And for some of these exercises, some of these things we're doing, they will be hypothetical. I would imagine for some of you, you may find them actually quite real and timely for the work that you're doing currently. All right. So, any questions before we go on? We're going to start looking at the syllabus in just a second.
So are you a counselor? Do you?
Yep.
Just,
So,
I'm not
yep.
really sure
No.
your
So, I'll talk about my educational
Okay.
background. So, I have an undergrad in organizational leadership. My master's is in educational technology with the focus on curriculum and instruction. I've worked at Anoka County as their affirmative action officer for the last 7 years. For the last 5 years, I have been an independent consultant working on diversity and inclusion with organizations. I taught high school and middle school for 7 years. 3 of which I taught both. The last 4 I just taught high school. And so that's my background. I I'm not a certified counselor. However, I do have a number of post-baccalaureate credit hours and whatnot. So I also run a program called CEU Partners, and we specialize in getting CEU partners to all of you guys, getting CEU, continuing education, to all of you guys. So that's my background. And I will say that I think being on my own, I've been mildly successful in that I've not lost weight. So that's my indicator of success. I haven't lost any weight. As a matter of fact, I've gained a few pounds. So there's that. All right. Any other questions before we begin? All right, so let's crack open our syllabus. It's pretty straightforward. Last class is August 1st, which I believe is a Saturday. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It is this first, I thought it was the 6th.
No.
Because if we,
do on the sixth, but
what?
that looks like we have something due on the sixth.
Oh, you know what, the 6th is the 6th is a Thursday, isn't it?
Right, because
Yeah.
the only reason,
Yeah.
because I counted and I thought we had 9 total sessions, and if it's on the 1st, it's on 8.
Yep, so as a matter of fact, I think I did make a mistake, and it is August 6th.
It could be the 1st if you want it to be though.
No, it
Because
can't.
I'm planning a little trip and I'm gonna be back.
So I apologize for that, and yeah, so I did say that the final paper is due on the 6th. I just didn't finish it on the front. So July 9th through August 6th is the course. You can read through the objectives. I know you want to get to the meat of what you're supposed to do or what the course outline is. So if we can go to page 11, we'll start there. So page 11. Class is pretty straightforward. We'll have conversations, obviously, in class, and I'll ask for a class response paper or class reflection paper, if you will, for each of the classes. So your homework for Saturday will be to write a reflection on today's class. All right.
How long does it need to be?
Yeah, I would say about 500 words. It doesn't need to be extremely long. 500 words is about a half a page. If you have more to say, that's great, but 500 words would be the minimum on those.
Do you want,
Go ahead.
those emailed to you? Is it
No, just
better-
bring them in class.
Oh, bring them.
Yeah, just bring them in class.
Like no APA, just.
No,
Journal
this is
Okay.
just straight up journal. I'm not concerned with APA at this for this activity. All right.
For Saturdays, is that 2 journals or just one?
That'll
for
be
each
just
set?
one.
For the whole Saturday?
For the whole Saturday. And we'll get to what the classes look like in just a second. I just want to get you to your activities so you know exactly what you have to do. We'll have 5 quizzes, and you won't have a quiz today, but you may have one on Saturday, and it's just on things that we've talked about in the class, that we've addressed in the class, and things that may have come out of the book, but that I've also addressed, right? So I'm not trying to trick anybody, so it really is for you to check your learning in terms of what we're talking about and how you're getting those things or how you're interpreting those things. So usually 5 questions, 3 multiple choice, and then 2 essay questions is typically how I do those. So those will be 5. You will have a group presentation, which will be due either on the 30th or the 6th, and we can negotiate that as we move forward. But the idea behind those presentations is that you'll get into groups of, looks like we can do groups of 3 roughly, maybe a group of 4, and pick a topic around all the things that we can do around multicultural counseling, and do a presentation, and I'll walk you through what that presentation will entail. So there's that. And then there's the final paper, we'll talk about that in just a second, as well as the special project. And what I'd like to see for the special project, because in the syllabus, it talks about doing some readings and logging those things and submitting the log and whatnot. However, I'd like for you to stretch yourself and come up with something that you think could be very useful to you as a project, as a special project. And then we can log those hours, but I really want it to be something that is robust and not just something where you just, you watch 4 documentaries and you can check that off your list. I'd like for you to come up with something that stretches you in some kind of way. So those are the assignments. Those are roughly when those things are due. Again, the quizzes we'll do each class. There'll be class journals that I anticipate that you'll turn in the next class in terms of homework. I will tell you there is a lot of reading because the expectation is that we go through the whole book. But there's some tricks that I'll give you around reading, particularly the Sue and Sue book, in terms of the best way to tackle it so that you get it all. All right. Any questions about these particular assignments before I go into greater detail on each of those? Okay. So let's go to page. Well, let's start with page 4. We'll start with page 4. So this is the basic course outline. Today, we're just kind of going over goals and understanding culture and all those competencies and whatnot. On Saturday, these are some of the things that we'll cover. We'll actually spend some time watching a documentary on the impact of the psychological impact of this concept of race. Right? So we'll spend some time talking about race because that becomes now. There is a difference between race and culture, and we'll talk about those. But race typically is the place where people find some injuries around interacting with the larger social system. All right, so we'll spend some time talking about that. The 16th, we'll talk more about some theories and some assessments that we can give folks.
I'm sorry, can I ask this one
Yes.
question? So the quiz on Saturday will be from something tonight?
Yes.
Oh, okay, it won't include anything that's also.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be from things tonight. Turn over to Saturday, August 1st. We'll start talking about these group presentations, and if you look down towards the end of that page in the bold letters, you'll see a 7-minute introduction on Saturday, August 1st. Do folks see that?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I don't mean to be annoying, but I think the dates are wrong. Like July 30th comes after August 1st. On the syllabus.
I think we're
oh, it
missing a
does.
day.
I did.
I think
bump
we're
that.
just missing like a week. Like
July 23rd, isn't it?
Yeah, I did miss that. I apologize. Yeah, that is, so just bump those down, actually. So Saturday, you know what, I'll send out another one. And I won't use sinus this time. But I'll correct the dates, and I'll send that out tonight.
okay.
All right. So the group presentations, here are topics that that we can choose from, and we'll start working on those. We'll probably make those designations on Saturday. So if there's a group of you who wants to work on one of those 11, we can do that. So on that date, whatever that date is, I'll update that for you. There'll be a 7-minute introduction, which is basically 3 PowerPoint slides from your whole presentation. All right, so as a preview or a teaser. Slide 1 is the name of the cultural group. Slide 4 comes from the whole list, but I'll show you that in just a second. And then slide 3 are best practices of resources. So that 7-minute introduction is an introduction of the 10 PowerPoint slides, which I've spelled out following that, right? So slide 1 is the name of your cultural group. Slide 2 through 3 are data and statistics of historical significance of whatever that cultural group is that you've selected to do your presentation on. Barriers to therapy would be slide 4. Slide 5 and 6 would be cultural responses to trauma, types of trauma and oppression, all right, or the response to oppression. Slides 7 and 8 will be cultural response to healing, both including mental, physical, and spiritual healing. Slide 9 would be the application of Adlerian therapy. So how would you apply Adlerian concepts to helping that group? And then lastly, what are some best practice resources for that group? All right. So does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. One thing that I'd like to try to do, and I've been trying to conserve on paper, which it doesn't look like it with the amount that I've passed out. But using simple booklet to create our PowerPoint presentations, and then we can give our classmates access to that by copying a link and sending that to folks, or bringing a copy of that link so that folks can look at that electronically. So simple booklet it's a free source. It's very much like PowerPoint. Is there anyone who hasn't done a PowerPoint presentation before? Okay, so everyone's got one. Okay, cool.
Not on that website,
But just in general,
Yeah.
PowerPoint, yeah. So it's the same, and you can just import it into simple booklet, and I find it interesting and fun to use because you can do videos and all sorts of stuff right in there. So I like that kind of stuff. And then the last class, we will. So the prior class, I'll give you time to prep all of that stuff. And then the last class will have those presentations typically I do it the last 2 days because I have a class that's really big, but we actually might be able to do that in a day, which will lend itself to some good conversations. And usually I just have people, because there's so many people in the class, just do their introductions. We actually, with a smaller class, may be able to do our full presentations during those presentation times. Cool. I apologize for the dates, but I'll get those corrected and get you a copy tonight.
So generally, how long are the presentations?
Yep, so they are as long as the 10 slides.
So there's not a time limit, is what you're saying?
I would say if you take 2 days to cover your 10 slides, you'll probably fail the class.
That could be me though.
Right, so I'm not necessarily gonna put a
But
time
on
table on
average,
it.
how long are they about? Half hour, an hour?
I would say plan on a half hour.
Yep.
Right.
But we're doing these in groups,
And you're doing
so
them in
you're gonna have
groups.
classmates that won't let
Right.
you do it over 2 days.
I've just had other classmates that were fine with we all wanna do everything and it could be 2 hours, so I wanna make sure that
Yeah,
there's
yeah. No,
some
we're not-
time frame, but
Yeah, so-
roughly 30 minutes,
Yeah, so 30, 45 minutes.
30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't do the whole presentation, then You just present the first few and then what do we do with, I mean, it's just for the classmates to look at?
Yeah,
Like,
so because we've had a smaller class, I'm gonna say we'll do our full presentations.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll give you time to do your full presentation, both in preparation in class, as well as to actually present your full presentation. This syllabus was designed for a bigger class where that's not always possible,
Mhm.
so. All right. Saturdays, this is one of the things I do want to stress. Saturdays counts as 2 classes, right? So Saturdays is 2 classes. As best you can, try not to miss Saturdays because it's 2 classes. And there's only so many of us, so that will become an important thing, because 3 absences, which is equal to the credit hours, is a non-complete, which could affect people's financial aid and all that kind of stuff. So we don't want that to happen, and it's not necessary. And communicate. So if you need something, want something, let me know. If you didn't sign up for the class, I wouldn't be teaching, and I appreciate you. So, signing up for the class. So those things are important. So, if there are no other questions about the syllabus.
I have about Saturday. What time do you do it from?
Yeah, so Saturday, I believe that the doors open at 8:30, so we'll do 8:30 to 4:30.
In an hour lunch?
In an hour lunch.
Okay.
And I'll bring bagels. So if someone else wants to bring something, yeah, Joan first, and then Scott.
Okay, so we went through this, but now my question is about the special project time and then the
Yes.
final paper.
Yes, okay, good, thank you, because I didn't cover the
Yeah,
final
I was just
paper.
like, I gotta know this right now,
Yep,
so I can be anxious the rest of the time.
yes.
I might be anxious about the final paper.
So, page 15. It's on the right-hand top. Final paper, due August 6th. So please choose one of the following articles and write a paper, 10 to 12 pages, which includes title page, prefix, and bibliography. So, it's not more than 12 pages, so it includes those things. Because people, is it 10 pages plus those, or 12 pages plus? No, it includes all those things in the 12 pages. Blah, 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 blah. In your paper, you will identify the most important observations made by the author. So there's a list of articles that follow these instructions. Or, does anyone see or on there? What color is or?
Bold.
It's bold and it's black.
Yeah.
Or, because people get tripped up on this. We have to do this and, no, or. That's why I said or. Or choose an article, book, or movie you would like to review for your paper and write the 10 to 12. This would also include the bibliography in the appendix and the title page. All right? In your paper, you identify the most important observations, blah, 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 blah. All right? So that's your paper.
Where are the ones that you can choose from? Or is it like
Yep,
the last
so
page?
the articles are actually,
I think
Okay,
page
this.
8.
they are on page 8.
Oh, okay, same ones that are on the last page.
Yeah.
Or 22, I mean.
So page 8.
If we were to do the second option, would you have any suggestions for like a book or a movie
Yeah,
that you would recommend?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you tell me what you think you want, and I'll try to help steer you towards some
Okay.
suggestions.
Sounds good.
And that's during the last day of class, not 2
Correct.
weeks after.
I'm flexible on that.
That's all.
I'm flexible on that.
Okay.
It's been my experience that whatever the last day is, people want an extension. So, you know, if I
Yeah.
said 2 weeks, people would be like, oh, can I get another week? No! So I'm flexible on that.
Okay.
If you can't get it to me by the 6th, communicate, and we'll be all good. But I'd rather give people
Yeah.
a little shorter leash and whatnot, so.
Can you give examples of things people have done for the special project time?
Yeah,
Just
so.
kinda get the wheels turning a little bit.
Yeah, so, well, some folks have just gotten articles, gone to see, movies and written about those in the cultural context. Other people have gone to, religious traditions that are outside of their own, and they wrote about those experiences. People have gone to, service providers and sat in, and observed how that cultural, what that cultural environment might be like. Other folks have, obviously gone to, not obviously, but gone to museums or plays that demonstrate some things around multicultural activities.
So there's just so I'm clear, so there's a paper involved with it as well? So you have like the final paper, but then the special project time would be time spent doing these things, and then you write about it as
Isn't that the
well?
presentation?
Or you don't
Yeah,
have to write about it?
Yeah.
Or-
So the difference is, special project is a special project, the paper is a paper. The special project is something that you do, that you log your time that you've done.
Oh,
I just would like for you to do something that is meaningful
Yeah.
to you. I don't think it says in the syllabus at all about a paper related to special project. There's not a paper connected to a special project, but there is a final paper.
Yeah, you just said people write about their experience or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
so it's 3 separate, it's presentation, special project time, and final paper.
Correct, those
It's
are 3
separate.
separate different things.
Or a special
And you wanna
project time is
see-
good faith, is basically what you're saying, like, we're gonna go do.
You wanna
So
see
not,
what
not not only is it good faith, but you're gonna log it because it's part of your licensing.
Right.
So if someone asks, they ask us or they ask you, and you can't pull up those 30 hours, somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, do you return, I'm sorry, I'm like, confused.
Oh,
Do
ask 'em
we turn
when-
it into you then? And
Yeah,
say,
you
"This
can
is
turn
our
it into me,
log,"
but you also, you'll keep a copy
Yeah.
and you'll give me a copy.
And we'll also give you a copy if we write about stuff.
Yeah,
Or
you
not.
don't have to, you don't have
Oh,
to give
okay.
me, all you have to give me is your log.
Okay.
What does the log look like? You mean like 4 o'clock went to the site, oh, it says in the back, okay.
Yep.
Got it.
And it's not very complicated. It's pretty, right? So that's because people aren't clear about how the class works, right? So the class is truncated, so it's short, but it's not short. Right? Because those 30 hours could be spent in classroom, but the way we've organized the class, you spend those 30 hours doing basically field research, engaging in the community, doing some things, applying those things to multicultural counseling.
So I just wanted to ask on, so she asked about Saturdays, like the time frame. In some classes, like we kind of had people vote to see if some people wanted to like cut out early and cut half their break, instead of an hour, like do a half hour and leave a half hour early. One, are you flexible with that if people wanna do that, or
I'm
is
not
it-
flexible with that,
Okay.
no, not flexible with that. And there are a couple of reasons why. This class is already too short. Secondly, what folks don't know is the people who make those deals get burned on that. Because staff, you know, around here, they don't have each other's back. They will tattletale in a second. Don't you know that they let that person, that class out early? How come they got out early? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm not gonna be that person that gets
I
told
didn't think it
that.
was, okay, I didn't know
I
if it
like
was
my
cutting our
hours.
hours, it was just cutting our break. So
I
don't
hear you,
care.
but
Yeah, it's just better.
in
to keep
terms
it-
of, I'd rather just be straight up.
Yeah.
Let's do
Yeah.
what we agreed to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anytime we start making side deals, that's when stuff starts getting crazy and wonky. Let's just do what we agreed to do.
Okay.
All right. To that end, let's take a break. 15? So we'll come back at 7:30.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
For your, care
So-
fees.
And then just the collections. So my tribe left me.
I know the feeling, Marla.
It's hard. It's hard. Oh. So did he go to Houston or back to school?
He's back, he went home to Cleveland.
Oh, to Cleveland.
Yeah. He'll be back next week.
Oh, okay. People. We're supposed to be back. We'll see. I've been gone for a long time. Too long. But, so, they've been gone so long, I think I've watched every UFO conspiracy theory movie on YouTube. Every one.
That's too long.
They've been gone so long, I built a motorcycle. It's not a big one, but
But still,
yeah, I built one. I had this old bike, because of the engineering. Almost like my solar panels.
I was about to say, what about
Yeah, it's been a lot of stuff. It's gonna start an addition to the house. So we have the house, we have a house that I just found out that we bought it for a little bit of nothing. Yeah, and my realtor said that he thinks we can get what we're asking, which is about 3 times the investment.
so you're gonna sell it?
Yeah. We got some people doing the remodeling right now.
That's good, then if you